Good afternoon. Welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Graditor, and my guest today is Nikki. And Nikki, I don't even know your last name.
Nedza.
Nedza?
Nedza.
Nedza, who is the operations manager, and there's something else there that I'm missing.
Office and
operations manager at Save a Pet. And we thought that since I refer to terms a lot and programs that the shelter offers, we would like to explain to you what those programs are. The first of them is the Seniors for Seniors program. Okay, Seniors for Seniors program is a program whereby a senior adult, meaning how old?
Over 60 years old.
Over 60 can adopt a senior animal, which means?
For cats, they have to be over 10 years old, and then it's $10. And then for dogs, they have to be over 7 years old, and it's $25.
Okay, so for a very limited amount of money, a senior can adopt an older animal. Bunch of reasons for that. Do you want to do them, or do you want me to do them? Either way.
Well, how about we both do them?
Okay, first one is it's harder to find homes for the older animals, and they tend to languish in the shelter for longer periods of time. This is an opportunity to match a senior with an animal that otherwise might spend the rest of its life in a cage. That's one.
The older animals are very good companions. They're already house trained. They already know, the rules of the house, and they're great companions to have at home.
They tend to be a little more laid back.
Yes, definitely.
A little easier for a senior to handle.
Calm, yeah.
Not that I want to say that over 60 can't handle an animal, because I'm over 60. However, as we age, it gets harder, and these animals are just easier. So that's reason number two. And reason number three is a lot of seniors can't afford to come out and adopt for the dollars that a shelter is forced to receive to cover the cost of maintenance of a younger animal. And there are people who will come out and who can afford to take these animals home. So it gets a senior companionship, it gets the animal companionship, and it gets the animal out of a cage and into a home. Do many people know about this? Is it taken advantage of often?
It is not. Usually people don't know about it until they walk in the door. So we do try and promote it a little bit more. But, it's a good thing. The cats, if they're over 10, cats live sometimes till 20. So you have a companion for a long time.
Right.
And dogs can live up to 15, 16.
God knows. We've had one, I remember one that was adopted from this shelter at 21, by the way.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It was a little poodle, and I remember her well. There's one more piece to it. Not only are these animals, do they become accessible to the seniors, they free up space in the shelter so that you have room to take in other animals that need homes. And that is, in a no-kill shelter, as important as any of the other reasons that we look at. So that's Seniors for Seniors, and it's a program that, if you're a senior who watches, if you have a senior aunt, parent, someone who loves animals and who would love to have a companion. And then there's one more, and we skirted around the last one because it's the least pleasant, which is that seniors don't live as long, and neither do the senior animals. So you don't have someone who's 85 or 90 adopting a 6-month-old puppy that in 10 years or less, or maybe more if we're very lucky, is going to be looking for another home. So it works out to the benefit all the way around. That's Seniors for Seniors. The second program is permanent foster. And I refer to that a lot. I show dogs and say, this dog or this cat is eligible for a permanent foster. What's a permanent foster?
Permanent foster would be any animals that have cancer, kidney issues, epilepsy, diabetes, any kind of long-term medical problem. What you would do is you would take the animal into your home, and Save a Pet would cover all the costs associated with that disease, with the disease that they have.
And specify that it is only that disease, so that if you take a dog that has epilepsy and needs a medication to control seizures, and that dog gets some other illness, the shelter is not on the line to pay those medical expenses.
Correct.
It's really important for people to know. But that is a licensing issue. It costs $25?
It's $25 to the Department of Agriculture to be a licensed foster in Illinois. and that's all. You don't have to pay an adoption fee or anything, and you come here for all of your medications. You go to our vets, you know, and Save a Pet covers all those costs.
So that's a beautiful thing to do with an animal that otherwise no one would take because it has a problem. And I've said this, and I will say it repeatedly, these animals that have some sort of an illness or a physical problem, they did not go out and solicit that. It's not their fault that they're sick. And they shouldn't be condemned to a life in a cage because they have an illness, and especially an illness that can be treated medically. And it won't cost you anything to do that. And it gives you the opportunity to be a hero. And that's the biggest part of adopting any shelter animal. And there's one more program, and this is one we don't touch on, but it's probably the biggest issue you deal with, and that's temporary foster homes. And I understand that you never have enough.
No, we never have enough temporary fosters. Temporary fosters can be for pregnant moms, can be for puppies, can be for an animal who has heartworm. It can be also so we can empty out our ISO room to have more space to save more animals. There's a lot of reasons for temporary foster. And
temporary fosters do have to be licensed the same way that permanent fosters do.
Correct.
Is there some sort of an education program for someone, say I wanted to take a pregnant dog and I was going to keep her until she had her puppies, and the puppies were then old enough for adoption, at which point she comes back and the puppies come back, correct? Okay. Is there some sort of education or support for someone who does that?
We do have pamphlets for puppies, for pregnant moms, for pregnant cats. We have volunteers who have done litters for us who will go into the home and, you know, help you deliver the babies and everything like that. So
yeah, and that's an incredibly beautiful experience, and especially with kids, you know, allowing them to see the miracle that is the birth of puppies and or kittens, either one, and at the same time not contributing to the problems we have with overpopulation. I tend to get a little crazy when somebody says, well, my Fifi is such a nice dog. I want her to have one litter so that my children see what it looks like to have a litter. And they don't think that that litter begets other puppies or other kittens. And we once had a number as to what one cat can produce in its lifetime by way of the kittens having kittens, and it's in the thousands. It's in the thousands. So people don't get their animals neutered because the animal is too nice.
Yeah.
And because they want their children to understand. But this is an opportunity for people to bring an animal that has already been impregnated into the house, allow kids to socialize, to glory, to play with little baby puppies or little tiny kittens, which is just, I mean, that's just the cutest thing in the world.
Yes.
Or even, do you foster dogs that need to be socialized or cats that need to be socialized?
Absolutely, we'll do that also.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you get an animal in here that's really nervous around people, and you've got a foster who you know can handle that, and that I imagine, I mean, how carefully do you look at people who want to foster?
They have to go through our same application process as anyone that would want to adopt an animal. They come in, fill out the application, and interact with the animal to make sure it's a good fit, and then they take them home.
I think it's absolutely a marvelous thing to do. And you know, especially with an animal that is debilitated in some way. And a heartworm animal, how long do they have to be quiet while they're being treated?
Oh boy, it depends on how severe the heartworm is, but sometimes it can be up to 3 months for heartworm treatment.
So that's a commitment for up to 3 months. How many fosters wind up adopting the animals they're fostering?
Very often. Temporary fosters, not so often. It's more of the permanent fosters. They are already taking them, but usually they keep them. Temp fosters, we call them our failed fosters. You know, they failed in the fostering department. They don't keep if they have litters. But if they're just doing it a week or two, they say, we fell in love, we had to keep them.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I took a dog that was being heartworm treated and I had that dog in my house for 3 months, I would be in here adopting that dog. It would not be coming back to you.
Yeah.
That's not to say that that's what you have to do. And that's not to say that that's what we're asking. You're talking to me and I'm more than a little bit crazy. But the need for fosters is constant. In the spring and the summer, it's kittens.
Yes, kitten season.
And during kitten season, there are more kittens, and I know that you bring them in slowly, so that you've not got 40 or 50 little kittens sitting in cages here.
Right.
So sometimes you may have to, if you're fostering a mama cat who's had kittens, or fostering a litter of kittens, and sometimes kittens come in that need to be bottle fed. Is that also true?
Correct, yeah.
Or puppies. If you have little babies like that, you may keep them a little longer until there's room for them here. But again, medically, the shelter stands behind you, so that you don't have to worry about it.
In temp foster, we also pay for all the food.
Okay,
So any food that's associated, if they need to be bottle fed, we'll provide the milk, the KMR, and then the regular food that they eat.
That's a real need. That's a huge need. And we're out of time. So at this point, I'm going to say thank you to Nikki.
Thank you for having me.
And we are going to go into the kennels and into the cat room, and we're going to show you lots of dogs and cats that are waiting for homes.